Today is the anniversary of the start of the Larry Bird Magic Johnson rivalry. Now, were they good players? Were they elite? On March 26, 1979, the two faced off in the NCAA National Championship game. Magic came out on top, leading Michigan State to their first title over Bird's Indiana State. It remains one of the most watched college basketball games of all time. Stephen A., put in perspective what this game meant for basketball.
It was a big deal. It's still the most watched collegiate basketball game ever. Magic Johnson and against the Hick from French Lick, which was Larry Bird. You're talking about a culture clash as well, or what people perceived as such. And it definitely had that white-black element going on where one was going up against the other. All of those things came into focus. We're not bringing up race for a negative reason. We're just talking about what it was. Remember, Larry Holmes would ultimately fight Jerry Cooney. That was a big damn deal because it was white versus black, and it was two preeminent stars in their respective sport at that particular moment in time before Holmes took them out. The fact is, when you look at Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, it was a damn good game. Everybody thought that, you didn't know who was going to win. There was sizzle. There was a lot of intrigue. And Magic Johnson and Kelsey and those boys handled their business, and Michigan State won the national championship over Indiana State. So it did a lot for the sport. Some people think it saved the sport. I'm not going to go that far. What I think saved the sport, meaning the NBA, even though this was a collegiate basketball game, is that both were stars. Both were coming. And so when they both came into the league, what was helped along the way, guys, is that before they met in the finals for the first time in 1984, both of them had been champions already at a very young period in their careers. Magic Johnson as a rookie. And so when you looked at it from that standpoint, the fact that they had all of this hype coming out of college, and then their hype was matched by their play, if not exceeded by their play, once they went pro. And both had won championships, not at the expense of the other at that particular moment in time. I think ultimately the combination of it all did it. So when you ask the question about Larry versus Magic Johnson facing off in the NCAA title game, I will tell you it's incredibly pivotal, very, very important, most watched college game ever, but that was the start of what ultimately was culminated in 1984 when they met for the championship. And it also didn't hurt that they ended up being in two pristine big-time markets, Boston and LA.
Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that, if you're a hardcore basketball fan, of course you loved Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson. But what those two guys did was they brought in the casual fans, the fans who were not already really into college basketball or the NBA. And one of the reasons that happened was because of the storylines that were so amazing. Stephen A. mentioned some of them, but the idea of the little engine that could going up against the powerhouse of Michigan State versus Indiana State, that's a very attractive storyline to a casual viewer. And then what else is so attractive to
All right, Wendy's shot taking hits there, some technical difficulties. Matt, do you have some more thoughts on that?
Yeah, I got a couple. Stevie hit around in the head as far as the importance of the game. Salt Lake City, remember, Emberg, Packer, and Dick and Al McGuire, the great broadcasting crew from NBC. Brian Gumbo did the pregame. Yep. Terry Donnelly won the game for Michigan State. He made 4 jumpers early in the game. But Magic was great. The year before, he lost in the second. He lost to Kentucky, and obviously Bird was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. So they had a lot of things going on. And listen, you hate to bring it up, but it's a factor. You can't deny it. Bird, white, Magic, black. There's that element too. And Steve hit it right in the head. Magic goes to L.A., the famous franchise. Bird goes to Boston. Magic wins 2 championships early in his career. Beats Philadelphia a couple of times. Bird beats Houston. So they had Magic had won 2 NBA titles. Bird had won 1. Magic beat Bird in that game, 77-64, I think the final was. So now you get an LA-Boston NBA final. It was all the games on regular time, no tape delay. Remember, there were tape delays early on in Magic and Bird's career in the finals, not this time. And it was a classic NBA final. You had 2-2-1-1 format. You had 110-degree temperature. Look at all the Hall of Famers. Bird, McHale, Parrish, Querim, Wilkes, Worthy, Jordan, Riley. I mean, you got 10, 12 guys. And then they go out there and they give you 7 great games. And it was an upset. Lakers are better than Boston. They beat them the following year. And the Celtics win the title. You got Bird with the towel, waving the towel there at the end. ML Carr. I mean, it had everything going on. And this is before Jordan. So this really, that rivalry, which began in that championship game, up through '84, fueled the comeback of the NBA. Throw Dave Stern in, who had a lot to do with it, and then throw Jordan in, who comes in on the heels of the Bird Magic thing. And the NBA explodes and becomes a huge league. So I think the impact, and give Pete, one of the producers today, is the exec. He did a great job. He said, you guys should talk about this. Steve said 100%, and he's right. This game, and I didn't realize this was the anniversary, this game is the beginning of LA-Boston again, Bird Magic, great rivalry, white, black. You got to put all the components into play here, and it really triggered an incredible NBA explosion.
We could have that in the finals again this year with LA and Boston. It's a possibility.
And then you had Jordan. Remember, Jordan added on to this. So, Brian, you finish up here. I mean, Steve and I talked enough. You got hit with the camera. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll just make it very quick. In college, people love David versus Goliath. In professional, they love rivalries, greats versus greats. Magic and Bird gave us all of it, and they gave it to us for a long time at a high level.
A couple of things that you guys need to know about it. A couple of numbers that I have here. Just want to encapsulate this conversation. From 1979 to 1989, that was an 11-season stretch. Either Magic or Bird played in every one of them for 11 years. College, NBA. 1979 to 1989, 11-season stretch. So that's important to note. It's also important to note that they're credited with essentially making March Madness what it is, because they jump-started all of that with the NCAA tournament. And remember, it was increased to 64 teams thereafter. And so a lot of people were looking at that too. That's the kind of impact that Magic and Bird had on the sport. And oftentimes, my last point would be this. Oftentimes, we look at Michael Jordan when we talk about the NBA, who is the greatest of all time in my estimation. But to piggyback off of the Giannis LeBron conversation, when we talk about Jordan and what he did for the NBA, Jordan would have never been able to do that if Magic and Bird hadn't saved the NBA first. It was what did that paved the way for Michael Jordan to be able to take it to the next level.
All right, we got to leave it there, guys. When we come back here on First Take, back to the NFL, the quarterback carousel is coming to a halt, but will the final domino make or break the Steelers' season? We dive in, and it's Wednesday, so you know that means Mad Dog must air his grievances. Get your popcorn ready for America's favorite segment.
They got lemon